everyone, and welcome to another Origins of Expressions. Today, we'll be going over the phrases fair and square, put a square peg in a round hole, back to square one. What do they all have in common? They're all phrases and idioms around squares. Let's get right to work and start this video. Squares, those mathematical quadrilaterals. They've been used since the 1200s as tools for carpenters and for mathematical equations to show something has four equal sides. It has been an important part of our math and science throughout the years. As time has gone on, we start to use those words as slang and jargon to mean fair and honest, and later on as straight and direct. So it is no surprise that we have idioms around the word square. Let's not waste any time and move into our first square phrase. Fair and square. Fair and square means honestly and legitimately. No cheating or lying was involved. Well, that's fair and square. Since the 1500s, the word square meant fair and honest. So fair and square is a redundant phrase. They mean the same thing. The term fair and square is usually used in the context of sporting competitions, races, or any kind of sporting contest. It would be used especially to combat claims of cheating or disputes. It suggests that the proceedings were honest and all rules were adhered to. The first time fair and square is used as an idiom is in Francis Bacon's Essay of Prophecies in 1604. It reads, "Fair and square, the gamester calls fools holyday." Today, we still use the phrase fair and square to say that we follow the rules. It is quite common to see this phrase in sports. We do not see it in many other conversations. An example is, "The fans of the home team were angry, but we won the game fair and square." Well, let's let them celebrate their victory as we move into our next phrase. Put a square peg in a round hole. Put a square peg in a round hole means someone who doesn't fit into society's norm. To find yourself in a situation that doesn't suit you. That's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. This idiom can be used both ways. It is a palindrome. It can be said square peg in a round hole or round peg in a square hole. It has been used both ways throughout our history. Either way you choose to use it, they mean the same thing. The first time we see this in writing is by historian Albany Fonblanque. He used both phrases in 1836 in a book of essays called England Under 7 Administrations. It reads, "Sir Robert Peel was a smooth round peg in a sharp-cornered square hole, and Lord Lyndhurst is a rectangular square cut peg in a smooth round hole." Today, we still will see this phrase being used. It is usually used in the business world to describe someone who doesn't fit in the corporate culture, isn't a team player, and therefore stands little chance of corporate advancement. An example sentence is, "How Todd got the job, I will never know. He's like a square peg in a round hole." Well, let's hope he can grow and learn his new job. Let's leave him and move into our last idiom of the video. Back to square one. Back to square one means to the beginning, to start again. Well, back to square one again. This phrase is not that old. We see it only being used in the 1900s. However, with such a young phrase, there's still a lot of controversy around its origins. Many people in the UK would argue that it's from the beginning of the 1900s when BBC Radio did commentaries on sporting games, specifically football and rugby. They came out with a diagram for their listeners to use and help them follow along with the commentary. The diagram was divided into 8 sections. The commentator called out the number as the ball moved around. However, after reviewing the commentaries, never was the phrase back to square one used. The first time we see the phrase back to square one in print was from the Economic Journal in 1952. It reads, "He has the problem of maintaining the interest of the reader who is always being sent to square one in a sort of intellectual game of snakes and ladders." Snakes and ladders, or shoots and ladders, is a game where you roll a dice and move up the board, trying to be the first player to reach 100. If you land on a ladder, you get to climb up to a higher number. If you land on a chute, you have to slide backwards to a lower number. However, in the game, there is no chute that sends you back to square one. It is also mentioned that it could be a reference to the game hopscotch, where you have to throw your marker from the number 1 box or square to the number 10 square and then back again, ending at the 1 square. But like the radio commentary, there is no written record of the saying ever being used for hopscotch. Either way, it seems to be a game reference. Today, we still use the phrase back to square one to say that we have to start at the very beginning. We hear it in many different situations, not just in games. It is quite common when a task fails and we have to start all over again. An example sentence is, the police haven't made any breakthroughs. Their lead turned out to be a dead end. So now they're back at square one. Well, they have some work to do. Let's leave them and move on. Ooh, fun fact. Did you know that the games that we played as kids, and even games kids play now, go back as far as ancient Egypt? Yep, that's right. Throughout the 3,000 years of ancient Egypt's history, playing games was a big part of their lives. They played games like jacks and dice. They used game pieces like small stones and knuckle bones, which were really sheep ankle bones, not human bones. But their favorite game was Senet, which is still played today in some areas. Of course, the rules were not written down, and how they played might be different than how we play today. There is a copy of the game in the British Museum in London with a sign that states it was first played in 5500 to 3100 BCE, which was before the time of the pharaohs. Egyptologists have also looked at some of the paintings and pictures and developed theories that board games were often played to relax and unwind. Many of the people then, as well as today, would come home from working hard all day and play a board game. There is a painting that was found showing Queen Nefertiti playing Senet as she relaxed. Wow, games have been a big part of our lives for a really long time. Well, that's the information that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed learning about the origins of our idioms and phrases. I would love to have you subscribe if you did. It's easier than putting a square peg in a round hole. It is a quick push of the button. Plus, I would really appreciate it. Oh, yeah, quick question before you go. Do you know any idioms or phrases around squares? Maybe you know other idioms or phrases on an entirely different subject. I would love to see them. Leave them in the comments below. And if I use one of the phrases, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks again for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate your support. Until next time, bye.